Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Just a reminder, rules are number 1, relax and have fun. Number 2, tell me where you live, where you're joining us from. Number 3, ask a question. And if you're wondering for ways to support this stream and my work as an artist, number 1, newsletter sign up. Just go sign up for my newsletter. It's a Friday 5-minute infusion of inspiration. MrJakeParker.com/newsletter. Number 2, you could treat yourself to something in my shop. Shop.MrJakeParker.com. I've got art books, I've got comics, stickers, enamel pins, prints, downloads, good stuff there. And number 3, Patreon.com/JakeParker. Join us over on Patreon. I'm sharing behind the scenes stuff, lots of insights and thoughts. It's a good time over there. So there we go. And what I want to show you guys today is what I'm working on. This is a new Skull Chaser comic. It's actually a sample I'm putting together to try and get a publisher for a legitimate publisher for Skull Chaser. So here's page 1. You can see he's chasing this guy. There's going to be a little panel I'll do in Photoshop over this that says, wanted. He's the bounty on him is a certain amount, what he's wanted for, and let's see here. Here we go. Page 2. Skull Chaser lets loose his claw. We're calling it a claw winch. Snags him. He's starting to reel him in, but oh no. The rope gets sliced. And page 3, we see it is Catbot. Catbot showing up, claws super sharp. And he says something like, he's like, hey, let me go. And he's like, cease and desist your maneuvering or angling, target acquired. And he's like, hey, that guy's mine. And he's like, no, I'm actually under my jurisdiction to get him. And then all of a sudden we see he's in the crosshairs of something. Here comes Missile Mouse. And what's he going to do? He's going to smack right into the back of him. And then we see a close-up here. And he grabs the rope. And this is what we're going to ink today for the live stream. But what he's got going on back here is he's yanking him. And then this is sort of like a reestablishing shot where we get to see Missile Mouse, the bad guy, and Skull Chaser all in context to each other, and he's saying, actually, he's under my jurisdiction from the Galactic Security Agency. So that's what we're working on. Let's sit down and ink. You guys can go ahead and ask questions or talk about stuff, whatever you want. We're just gonna ink and relax. Just show you really quick. This is a Zebra dual tip felt tip pen, and I really like it. This one's close to being dry, too dry to ink with, but it's still got some juice left in it. And it's got a fatter tip on one end, and it's got a thinner tip on the other end. And I usually use the thinner one, thinner
Somebody
side.
wants to know what kind of paper you're using.
This is Hammermill, I think 80-pound printer paper, 80-pound printer paper. And it gets the job done. It gets the job done. It holds the ink well.
Copy cover.
But it doesn't, it's color copy cover. It doesn't have to, you don't have to spend a ton of money on paper if you're just inking. I think these reams cost like $30, but it comes with 250 sheets. But if you're doing like really heavy duty, lots of erasing and ink washes and heavy ink stuff on them, you're going to want some thicker paper. You might want to get some Bristol. That's different.
Oh, sorry.
This is an older one. All right, so let's get in here and do Missile Mouse.
Somebody from France wants to know if you like mushrooms.
Yeah, I like to eat them. I haven't done much else with mushrooms other than eating them.
Do you use the same type of pen through the whole project?
No, I will switch between pens depending on what I need. Because if you look at this page, This all was done with this pen, but then there's like some really interesting effects I was trying to get here. I did that with a brush pen.
Do you refill the pens?
Not these pens. These pens aren't refillable. But if it is a refillable pen, then yeah, I'll do it. I'll get some refills.
You're kind of zoomed in pretty tight.
There we go.
Do you have Twitch?
I have an account, but I haven't really ever streamed on it. And I was actually talking with a friend of mine today who does Twitch streaming, Anthony Wheeler. You guys got to check out his stuff. Anthony Wheeler Art. He's a dang good artist, super funny. He does Twitch streaming. If any of you are fans of his or been on his Twitch streams, just do a quick, let people know what you think of them. But we were talking about, hey, where should I stream? Should I stream on Twitch or should I stream on YouTube? And I'm actually curious what you guys think, because I want to do more streaming like this on those other channels. And I have some followers already on YouTube, something like 170,000. And I have 10 followers on Twitch. So I'm wondering, in your opinion, which one's a better experience watching the stream, if it matters. If it doesn't matter, I'll just go on YouTube. But if there's a really compelling reason to go on Twitch, I'll try it over there as well.
While we wait for answers to that to come in, somebody wants to know how your son's artwork is coming along.
I assume you're talking Robo Tater Tot. He's serving a full-time mission for church, so he doesn't get to draw as much anymore. However, his drawings have, I think he's gotten
100 times better.
100 times better. So he comes home from that in November, and you'll see him probably start posting a lot more and getting back into the whole thing. And you're going to see a big change in the stuff that he's doing. It's really impressive to see how he's grown, even as he's doing it less. So interesting. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, do you ever try outlining in colors other than black? Somebody's been experimenting with other colors.
I've done it a little bit for some things, and it's a little tricky. You got to find the right pen that'll do the effect that you want. But for the most part, any of my different color stuff that I mess with, I'll just do in Photoshop. I like to just stick with black ink for what I'm working on, and then do all the effects and interesting stuff in Photoshop.
Lots of people are saying they prefer YouTube if you were going to stream on there.
Okay.
Whitney Sims wants to see your hoodie of concentration.
It's too hot now. We're in Arizona, so
100 degrees today.
Yeah. It's getting to be pretty toasty, so no more concentration hoodies. However, I do wear concentration glasses now. And these things magnify ×1, and they've got the blue light blockers. And when I put these on, I know it's focus time.
It's not because you're getting old and your eyesight's going.
No, that's just a side thing.
Somebody's asking about the orange. You want to tell us how you do the orange real fast?
Yeah, so these pencils were actually done digitally in Clip Studio Paint, which is my program of choice for drawing comics. And so I'll work in orange, and the reason being is when I print it out, I'll print it out and it'll be like easy to separate the orange from the black ink.
Somebody asked for the spelling of Anthony Wheeler. I'm trying to find his account.
Yeah, I can add it in there.
Throw it at the end.
Let me just add it right here. At Anthony, I don't know if it's not bringing it up. We'll try this. Maybe that'll work. And someone gave me a badge. Thank you for that. Let's see who it was. Shout out to Kendron Rhodes. Thank you so much for that. Allison asked, what's that mean?
Sorry. You don't have to answer that. You can explain it to me later like I'm 5.
Yeah.
How do you edit out any mistakes when you're inking?
I use this thing right here. Where is it? It's a whiteout tape. This is Tombow mono correction tape, and you can just go right over stuff. Actually, let me show you one that I fixed over here. Where? Yeah, so you could see here, I messed up on these speed lines here, and you could see there's a bunch of tape where I just kind of went over it all like that and then redrew the lines on it. So that's what I do. Hopefully I don't mess up here, but if I do, you'll get to see me fix it.
Was there an adjustment when you started wearing the glasses to the magnification?
Well, almost immediately things were easier to see, so that was nice. I like that, adjusting to that. What happened is I thought I was doing just fine as far as my eyesight, and then we were at this store and they had like designer reading glasses that were like $40 a piece, and I was like, oh, I want to see what I look like with these things on, and I put it on and had my phone in my hand, and I looked at my phone and everything was so much crisper and clearer. And I was like, oh, wait, I might actually need these things. So, and then I went and got an eye test, and the guy, the eye doctor checking me out was like, yeah, your eyes aren't horrible, because I've had really good vision my whole life. But he said, you're just getting into the older age type of problem where your eyesight just starts to go a little bit.
Everything starts to go. Can I ask, can you color over that correction tape?
No, it's just for inking. If you are coloring something and you need to like fix it, I would recommend doing it on a separate piece of paper, cutting that out and pasting it on over it. So you're just essentially going on a new piece of paper.
Okay, here's a question. Would you recommend, or anybody you know recommend, working at a gallery until they make it as an artist, just to be around other creative people?
Yeah, I think that would work. Any sort of job you can get where you're around creative people doing the thing that you want to do is going to be super advantageous and helpful. When I worked at Blue Sky Studios back in the day, there were a lot of people who would get a job as like assistants, production assistants, or art department assistant or something like that, and their ultimate goal was to work as an artist or as a storyboard artist or as a modeler or something in the industry. And what they could do is learn from people while they were there. I mean, they were doing their job, right? They weren't like slacking off, but they were doing the job that they were hired to do. But then they got to know everybody, and they got to work on their stuff, and they got to get feedback on the stuff that they're working on at night after hours. And then they got to, as soon as there was a position open, they would be like the first to know about it. And many people kind of moved into Blue Sky doing it that way. So if you want to do more gallery work, it would definitely make sense to work for a gallery, because you understand that business, you understand what sells, and what kind of work you're going to want to do as an artist yourself. You could see what the industry standard is and what works good and what looks good. So I would try that out for sure.
2 questions. Do you have an insurance policy on your right hand?
No.
We tried to get his hands and his eyesight insured.
But
premiums were too high.
Yeah, I need to be making significantly more. I need to be making like NFL quarterback money in order to insure my certain appendages of mine. And
if anything happens to Jake's hands, we're just going to start selling kidneys.
I could tell you right now, I do not make NFL quarterback money. Nothing close.
Okay, somebody wants to know, what do you think is the path to getting noticed on social media these days?
So this is a good question. This is the question on everybody's mind. Like, it's so noisy. It's so busy. Everybody's angling and moving on there, trying to get noticed. How do you break through the noise? How do you find an audience? And I think the main thing you got to do is just consistently show up and making the thing that you want to make. Now, what's mileage may vary because you might not be at the right level of art to get people to notice your art. You might not be working in subject matter that is really popular. The other people might be more interested in other things. So I think the perfect combination is doing something that's interesting that people are going to be drawn to. I think you need to consistently show up. You can go on YouTube and type in what is the Instagram algorithm favor, what's the flavor of the day, the thing that they're promoting, and it might be reels. If this is being watched a couple of years from now, it's going to be something else. The main thing is just always be like, set a schedule for yourself that you're gonna post something, once a week or 5 times a week or something, and then just stick with it. Figure out what you can handle, and also figure out what you can do that doesn't get in the way of you actually making the thing you want to make. Because you can get so caught up in making Instagram posts and YouTube videos that you forget to make actual artwork. So the best thing to do is kind of like what I'm doing here. I'm making a comic. So at the end of the day, I still have... You guys get to watch me fix something here. So at the end of the day, I'm on Instagram doing social media stuff, but I'll still have a comic made. So I'm working on something that's going to have a future, and I'm not just posting for the sake of posting.
Do your free newsletter that you put out every Friday, do you enjoy putting it together?
Absolutely. It really has become, I don't know if you can tell in reading it each week, but it really is something that I look forward to doing every Friday.
Somebody wants to know, do you think other artists should do it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think what you got here is it's called permission marketing, is what it's like the industry term for it, where essentially, it's one thing to follow someone. Your followers, you following someone on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or something like that is just saying, I'm kind of interested in what you're doing. This is sort of me like dipping my toe in the water of what it is you're doing. And when you sign over something that you own, something of yours that you own, like an email address, it's saying, I'm giving you permission to contact me on something that's, private, that only I can read. And it's sort of giving permission to a person to have that kind of interaction. And the nice thing about newsletters is, from my standpoint as a creator, is emails not really going anywhere. It's the largest social media thing ever. There's more people with email accounts than any other kind of account. You own your email address, so Instagram can shut down and you still can read emails. Facebook can get fined by the FCC or whatever and shut down shop, and you still own your email and you're still reachable by email. And as a creator, I could still reach people by email regardless of what happens. And I've lived through MySpace, and I've lived through blogs, and I've lived through people's individual websites. And it's interesting to see that through all of this, I've been through social media's highs and lows, and through all of this, email is still the thing that still exists and people still use. So that's why I recommend newsletters. As a newsletter reader, I also read newsletters myself. It's just a nice way to kind of cut through all the noise. You want to see what's going on with the creator, and you can go see what they're posting about on Instagram or Twitter or any of these websites. But a newsletter tells you exactly like the thing that they're doing at that time, and it's just a nice way to like communicate and interact with people. And that's my newsletter rant. My newsletter TED Talk.
What do you do about, does your hand cramp up? What do you do about getting tired?
My hands don't cramp up.
They used to.
They used to.
I could draw for years.
Yeah. There's a couple of stretches that you could do. So one is to just bend your hand back like this. Hold your fingers, bend your hand back, hold that for 20 seconds. And then go this way, hold that for 20 seconds. And then do this hand, do that. And, do like these things. And that's going to make a big difference.
Hey, do you have any videos or anything that show specifics of the materials you use, like pen, paper, software? Oh, you do on your website.
Yeah, if you go to my website and look under the info section, go to mrjakeparker.com and look under the info section. There's a whole section there on tools that I use.
And it's not stuff you sell, it's just you're showing them where to find it.
Yeah. There's links to like where you can get stuff on Amazon.
Somebody wants to know how you're doing.
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm feeling good today. Spirits are high. I'm doing good. I got some good rest over this weekend, and I'm making significant progress on projects. So I appreciate you asking that.
You got carrot cake, that helps.
Yeah, carrot cake on Sunday. That was nice. Got to see my sisters and their kids on Sunday, which was cool. Trying to make this look like his shadow is, just right above the ground. He's just right above the ground. His shadow's like
super close,
signifying how like fast he's going.
Hey, has your style evolved over the years?
Uh-huh.
Like how?
I used to not ink as much. I used to use pencil a lot, so my tools have changed. And inking has not forced me, but kind of molded me into like someone who does a lot more line-heavy artwork. So I used to do like a lot of pencil rendering type stuff.
Do you have any videos showing your coloring process?
Mm-hmm. I would look up on YouTube how to draw or how to make a taco bot.
Spell that. Taco bot.
Yeah.
Taco robot.
Yeah. TACOBOT. So look at that video. That's very specific. And then if you want even more like drawing, how I think when I draw, that type of stuff, I have svslearn.com, which is like my website for art tutorials that I made with a couple other illustrators, Will Terry and Lee White.
Okay, Jake, do you ever feel discouraged? And like if you have a goal and you're trying to reach it, but you're getting no traction, is it hard to tell if you should continue or not? What do you do?
Yeah, I get discouraged. How often would you say I get discouraged, honey?
What level of discouragement are we talking about? Like lay on the floor and say, I'm not doing this anymore? Or just eat a bag of homeless cereal?
Yeah, typically about once a year at least, maybe twice a year, I seriously consider like quitting
Going to work for Costco. We need insurance.
not quitting art, but like I seriously consider like should I go work at a studio, like Disney or DreamWorks, and try to like see if animation will hire me, and have that steady income, and the benefits and all that stuff. And
what do you do to get out of it?
And what I do to get out of it is like I kind of take stock of everything in my life more than just like my art and my career, and like all the other things, and what's important to me.
What do you want the most?
What do I want the most? Where do I see myself in 10 years or 5 years? And then I ask myself, is going down that path going to make my life better or worse, happier or more stressed, more fulfilled or less satisfied?
We also talk about what are you willing to sacrifice to get there.
Yeah.
And you talk to people that you trust a lot.
Yeah, I do. And I always come back to like, no, you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing. Just stick with it. It's, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Okay, but do you always feel like 100% energized when you draw, or sometimes you're just 20%, but you're like, okay, fine, I'll draw?
Yeah, usually what happens, yeah. So what happens is you kind of like, you have to show up and do the work regardless of how you feel. And typically the act of showing up will change your mood. Because the thing that makes you for me at least, the thing that makes me feel the most accomplished and satisfied is making something. And that when I go to bed that night, I can point at a thing that I made and say, okay, that exists because I showed up. But some days you need a break, some days you need a rest, and maybe that's way better for your mental health. But I think for me, more often than not, it's making sure I'm having that balance, recovery time, and then like making time. And if I'm keeping that balance going, then everything seems to work.
How long does it take you to make one of these panels?
Well, you're watching me doing now. I don't know how long we've been doing this for, but this is
kind of a long one, though.
Yeah, it depends on how many speed lines it has in it.
Somebody says Missile Mouse is hardcore. We love Missile Mouse.
Yeah.
We get lots, or we used to, when Missile Mouse was newish, little kids, like 3rd graders to 8th graders, saying, I hate reading, but now I love reading because of Missile Mouse. And can you make another one? What's the best way to market an art side hustle based on your experience?
I think minute for minute investment in time, your best bet is YouTube. Because what's nice about YouTube is those videos are evergreen for the most part. So like if you make a bunch of Instagram posts and especially if you're like, I've got a book I want to sell, and you're going to sell that book for like the next 5 years, right? Like you want to sell this book for a while, or you want to sell pins or a sticker set or something, and you're going to keep them in stock. Yeah, you could post about it on Instagram, and you should do that because you'll get pretty immediate sales from that. But YouTube, what's interesting is they will recommend, you guys have seen this, right? You've been on YouTube and you're watching a video that was recommended to you and it's like 5 years old. And that never happens on Instagram. You're not going to load up Instagram and get a 5-year-old post, put in your face. So I think if you make YouTube videos, they're going to be around much longer. More people are going to see them over time. And if they have a link to your, if they have a link to the thing you're selling, it could translate to more sales. How's this panel looking?
You're asking me.
I'm asking them. Okay, let's do the next one. And I guess this is a good like resetting the room again. If you guys are here, welcome to my live stream. Again, relax and have fun. Say where you live. And rule number 3, ask a question. And then just a reminder, ways to support this live stream and my work as an artist. Number 1, we talked about it. Sign up for the newsletter, mrjakeparker.com/newsletter. It's a Friday 5-minute infusion of inspiration. And again, if you're a newsletter subscriber, tell people in the comments why you like subscribing to it. Okay, number 2, treat yourself. Order something from my shop. We ship out every week. Art books, comics, stickers, enamel pins, prints, and downloads. Shipping can get expensive, so sometimes it's way cheaper and instant to get a download. And then number 3, I am accepting new patrons. People who join the patron get access to like all the past content that I've made. They get free stuff. They get discounts in the shop. So yeah, those are the ways to support my work.
Somebody wants to know, somebody in Ukraine wants to know, do you have an animal?
Yes, his name's Walter. He is a Portuguese water dog.
He was on our Christmas card.
Yeah. He's part Portuguese water dog, part poodle, and he is all lazy.
He's like a rug.
Yeah.
That eats trash.
He does like the trash.
What is it that you've just been dying to draw lately? Like, when this comic's over, what's one thing you really want to draw?
Honestly, I think it'd be fun to go do all the Miyazaki movies, like
Fan art?
not just do fan art, but to like we have all the DVDs or the Blu-rays, whatever, but to make art that could slide into those Blu-rays.
Make your own cover?
Yeah, make my own cover for them. I think that'd be fun. That's one of those things where I'm like, I do not have time for that.
You could have the kids do it.
That'd be cool. But I would like to go in and do a little bit, like just do
Your take on them?
a month of fan art. Because I always learn something when I'm doing fan art about how to like make my art better.
Remember when, for a Christmas present, the kids... Actually, I did it too. We all drew stuff from Star Wars and made you an actual book. We had it printed and everything.
Yeah, I pull it out every once in a while and look at it. You guys are best.
Was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
How old was she?
My Parker Family Star Wars fan art book for Dad's Christmas present. I should pull that out really quick.
Do you know where it is?
Yeah. So, Star Wars, The Art of Parker Kid Edition. And hey guys. Hey, little Millennium Falcon. Here's this one. This is Worm Guy. Let me find a couple of other good ones. Be in a different universe, I must. And that's the Lego version. This one, work out your head abs, you must.
The best part about this was we would work on it when Jake went to work every day.
Yeah, have some hot cocoa. An elf I am not. So the kids are kind of funny too, which is nice. Here's a Jawa. Here's a really cool clone trooper. These are amazing. Let me see if there's a favorite one. Oh, here. Kiss the Cook. But Mom, all the cool kids wear their hair like this. So it's like a mother-daughter thing. Like, I don't want you going out with buns in your hair. There's a fun little Ewok. Anyway, this is a prized possession.
You should do Inktober, but do fan art for Inktober. That was Whitney's idea, not mine.
That's not a bad idea. I should do that.
I would say it's a good idea. It's really hard to surprise Jake for holidays.
Yeah, especially since when you order on Amazon, I get an email of what's been ordered.
Have you had interns in the past?
Yep. Yeah, I've had a bunch. Haven't had really consistently had interns since I've moved to Arizona. But when I was in Utah, I feel like I had one
You had some really
at all
great people
times.
working for you, yeah.
Yeah. And they'd ship out orders and they would do Photoshop
Color
fixes
stuff,
and
flats.
colors and stuff. The way I'd do it was they would, for the first 40 hours they worked for me, they would get school credit. So we worked something out with their college students at BYU. So we worked something out that they would get they'd get it was like taking a class. And I would have to do a review and here's how they did and send in a letter to the school and
Almost always they stayed on and worked for you because they
Yeah.
were so great.
So then we had a deal where if I wanted to keep you on and if you wanted to stay on, I would hire you on as a paid intern for 8 hours or however many hours a week that they could afford to do.
But it was in our house, so it had to be the right kind of person.
Yeah. I mean, until we had the studio
Oh, that's true.
space.
But now it's back to being in our house.
Yeah.
It's not having an intern.
But what was cool was I would pay them, whatever was a fair rate, and they would show up. We got a lot of work done, and what was cool was, actually, they became friends too. I have a few interns I still stay in touch with, and we share with each other what projects we're working on and get feedback. And some of them are professionals now, and they're doing really good work, and it's good.
Are there any questions you get tired of answering? Really, huh?
No, I mean I any question that gets asked, I'm that person hasn't heard me answer it before, so I just pretend like this is the first time I'm answering it, because for them it is.
Jake is incredibly patient. Especially when teaching me how to use the computer.
Am I that patient? I am, huh?
You do mock me, but you still show me how to use it.
Mock's a strong word.
Oh no, you mock. Jake's one of those people who never loses his temper. I've seen him upset maybe twice.
I got pretty upset when our car's windshield broke last week.
Several days before that, one of our children crashed it. And then it had a chip in the windshield, and same kid who crashed it went out to wash it. And because it was in the hot sun, the whole windshield splintered. I thought Jake was going to have a stroke, but he didn't yell at anybody. He just kind of turned white.
I thought it was funny how Miles was like, "You yelled at me so much for the car thing." I was like, "What? What did I do?" I did not. And he's like, "I came home and you just said, 'Hey.'"
And walked away. That's Jake's version of yelling at him.
Sorry,
I
Miles.
wasn't actually going to say which kid it was that crashed the car. Nice going there.
Well,
Do you plan to do any Comic-Cons in the future?
yeah, not this year, but we'll see what 2023 brings.
I think Tate's going to want to do them with you.
Yeah.
When he gets home. So maybe-
Also, I'm planning on doing a Kickstarter later in the year for this comic that I've been working on. As soon as I have more pages, I'm releasing it digitally, but then I'm also going to do a print version, and I don't want to like go to a Comic-Con if I don't have something really new. So I'm going to kickstart it and then try and sell it to the Comic-Coners.
Do you like making comic books more or children's books?
I like making comic books more, honestly. They're way harder. So much harder. But I like that form of storytelling so much better. Panel to panel storytelling is just way more my jam.
What did you read more of as a kid? Or was it pretty even?
Comics, definitely, way more of.
Okay, somebody wants to know, they're finishing a comic.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard to run a successful Kickstarter if they don't have a huge following?
Yeah, I would definitely set your sights a lot lower. And what I would do is like go look at current Kickstarters and past Kickstarters and look at who's had a successful Kickstarter that's funded, and then go back to like their social media accounts and see how many followers they have. And it's always like 1 to 5% of their online following combined is like their Kickstarter backers. So just do a little homework and you could see where that adds up. What might not track, and you might not know this, is how many newsletter subscribers they have, because that's never really made public. But someone could have a ton of newsletter subscribers and not a huge social media following and still do great on a Kickstarter. That's for a comic Kickstarter. Any other kind of like tech Kickstarter type of thing, it really doesn't matter the following, because
It's good.
yeah.
What do you like about Miyazaki's films or artwork?
What I like about him is like just the imagination part of it, I think, is the interesting locations, the interesting scenarios, the interesting characters. It's totally Eastern. And, growing up in the West and familiar with Western stories, it's so cool to like see his, even when he's handling like Western subject matter, to see the Eastern way of, his approach to storytelling and characters and character development. He once said in an interview that he builds his stories the same way the Japanese traditionally would build a house. And so when they would build a house, they would build a structure that had kind of the raw necessities. Like it's got a place to eat, it's got a place to sleep, and it's got a place to like bathe and go to the bathroom, right? And then as the family grew, or as the needs of the family grew, they would add on another room. And then they would add on another room, and here's another bedroom, and here's a bigger living space, and we have more people to cook for, so let's add another kitchen. And pretty soon you have these houses that are just like this hodgepodge of rooms attached to rooms, kind of like grandma's house, right? Granny's.
We're talking about Miyazaki. Some people have just...
Yeah, we're still talking about Miyazaki. And but the house still works together. There's still like a cohesiveness to it, because it's all designed out of like necessity, the needs of the family. And he says that's how I make my stories, is I start with like this very simple premise, like what would happen if if a girl got kidnapped, not kidnapped, but like her parents turned into pigs, and she was yeah. And she would, she had to work for a bathing house, right? Like a Japanese bathing house. What would happen there? And let's build it out from that. Or, Ponyo, like it's essentially his version of Little Mermaid. What would happen? How would I do my version of Little Mermaid? And pretty soon you've got the whole world getting like flooded, and ancient sea creatures taking over the land and stuff. I just love that kind of stuff about it.
I like, for the most part, our kids can watch them just fine without being worried about it.
Uh-huh. They're just, and there's a peacefulness to them too. It's like, it's not, they're not trying to get your attention every 5 minutes with a song or a crazy action piece.
Any desire to do more board game art? This person and her daughter, his daughter, are still in love with Combo Clash.
Yeah, Combo Clash was cool. Yeah, if schedule permitting, and I should probably reach out to that guy and just say, hey, I'm available if you need me for something else. Yeah, I would do more art.
You are very. We are a game playing family. So Jake is always checking out the design on the games.
Yeah.
How fast does that ink dry?
Instantly. Like, it's dry. It has to do with the paper too, not just the ink.
How many years of experience do you have drawing?
Oh man, well I've been drawing since I could hold a pen, and I'm 44.
Almost 45.
Thank you.
His mom told the story that when he was 2 years old, she was sewing something. His mom was a great seamstress. She was sewing something, and he walked in at 2 years old and had drawn a recognizable sewing machine on a piece of paper. So he's always been doing it.
Always been doing it. It wasn't a beautiful looking sewing machine.
But it was a sewing machine. I'm 44 and I still can't draw a sewing machine. So how did you make it how did you foster that talent? How did you improve?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, it was, I had very supportive parents. Like, they would, absolutely, never once did they ever say, hey, quit drawing, it's not going to lead to anything. Both of them were really supportive about that. So I always had like positive reinforcement there. And if you're not getting that from those around you, and you need it, just know that, it can come from within as well. Like, if you're enjoying it and you like it, that's all you need to keep doing it. So there's positive reinforcement, and then there was like a very specific devotion to improving technique. And it started first by, what we call master studies. Right. So I had a friend's mom who was a painter, and she would teach art lessons to her kids and me as well. I was able to come join her for those. Anytime, like, my mom made sure there's always like art supplies available. There was never pressure to make any specific kind of art, so there's a lot of experimentation early on. And that's something I've done with the kids, is that they don't have to make art. They don't have to make I'm talking about my personal kids. They don't have to make the kind of art that I make. They can do any kind of art that they want. So, like, I have a daughter who does henna, and she really enjoys it. And I think it looks beautiful and it's amazing. And that's her sort of creative, artistic drawing outlet. Then
so we make sure there's henna ink at her disposal.
But then I also had this stage where I was like, I got to learn actual fundamentals. And so I would study what other artists were doing. I'd try to make like exact replicas of different artists' drawings to kind of learn their technique. I would learn specific, like, how to do perspective, how to do light and shadow, just all the basic principles that you're supposed to learn to do art.
You tell our kids if they want to improve
Yeah.
to draw something that they don't like drawing, that they're not good at, to practice that.
Yeah.
What's the toughest piece of advice you've gotten that helped you in the long run?
Oh. Do you have any ideas on that one?
Not a clue. But I will say, when you worked for Fox Animation, we went to a movie premiere. I don't remember which movie it was, but we're sitting in the theater, and somebody said something about, I don't remember if it was in the movie or somebody announced it and said something about you can't make a living doing art. And every artist in that theater who had helped make this movie started laughing hysterically. And Jake's no exception. He had teachers say to him, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he would say, oh, I want to be an artist. And they'd say, well, that's great, but what do you want to do for a living? So you maybe the advice you've ignored.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the thing I would, if you do want to go down this path and be an independent artist, I would definitely live within your means. For sure. And save your money for a portion of your money every month for the future, for any sort of problems, because those will happen. You'll need to use it.
It's hard to be creative if you're totally stressed out about money.
Yeah. The other thing too is you gotta, you have to also lean into what you're good at, as opposed to what you think you're good at or what you necessarily want to do. Because sometimes the thing that you're good at isn't always the thing that you're super passionate about. And so, I did children's books for a while because I was good at them. I wasn't necessarily passionate about them, but I was good about them. I'm passionate about comics for sure. But the money for me at that time was in children's books. And so I followed that. I pursued that and made a go at it. And sometimes that's what you have to do as an artist. So maybe that's good advice, is sometimes you have to follow opportunity versus following passion.
It has to make sense.
What?
It has to make sense.
Has to make sense.
A lot of people in art say, oh, you don't want to be a sellout. But sellout just means making a living at doing art. And that's, you have to eat.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know, what's your personality type out of the 16 personalities? I didn't know there was only 16.
There's NJSTs and JSMF.
I've never taken this test.
I've taken that test. I've taken it twice now, and I can never remember what I am. I do know I am very good in a group of people, but I do get exhausted being in a group of people, and I do recharge when I'm by myself. So I don't know if that is, I don't know what personality trait that is.
It's great.
Thanks. That's my personality type. Great.
Great. Is this the last page?
I have two more. Is that someone asking me, or is that you?
Someone's making fun of you for saying you took in the test.
Took in it.
That was just me asking you. Jake, the more tired he gets, the more his words start to get a little wonky. And dinner time in the Parker house is fantastic because you never know what's going to come flying out of Jake's mouth.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The other day, I couldn't remember the word pig. And so I was like, oinker, the oinkers. Like a pig? Yes, a pig. That's what I'm talking about.
Or you were trying to remember Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and you were saying Chimmy Charlie.
Chimmy Chocolate's Wonky Factory.
says it's like Metroid and Mega Man to the max.
What is that? What's that? What are they referring to?
I have no idea, and I know I've heard those terms from the kids, but I don't know what either of those things are.
Yeah.
You're gonna color this digitally?
Yeah, I'm actually, my colorist, Anderson Carmen, is going to color this.
Do you find it's more challenging to be an artist these days with so many tools and platforms to keep up with, or is it easier because there are fewer middlemen to get your work out there?
I actually think it's yeah, yes and yes. What's cool is you do have like you just have access to your people, your audience. So like when I started out, I couldn't do something like this. There's just, the technology wasn't available, right? And so that's really cool. The only problem is everybody's able to do this, so there's pretty fierce competition. And it's like, how do you compete with people when like even Disney's having a problem. Disney wants you to watch Disney Plus, but so many people are on YouTube. And they're like, how do we get people off of YouTube, right? And here I am trying to make a comic. How do I get people interested in buying my comic over at mrjakeparker.com, shop.mrjakeparker. I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to shamelessly self-promote. But how do I get people to buy a comic when, they can go watch Guardians of the Galaxy at the drop of a hat on Disney Plus, So, yeah.
That's hard.
So it's hard, but here's the thing is you as a creator can offer something that these big companies can't offer, and that is like community, sort of this one-on-one thing that we're doing here. You talking to me, the creator, me talking to you. You can't do that with Disney. You can't do that with Pixar. It's just not an option. And so there's that's the benefit, I think.
Several people have asked, how do you wait, hold on, I'm scrolling. How much guidance do you give your colorist? Do you give them a palette to work within? Do you just let him go?
This guy, I kind of let him go. I told him, here's the color the characters are. Here's like my concepts for that. And I said, just give me what you got, because I hired him because I kind of liked what he's been doing. So, and then there's some back and forth. There is like, let's try and do this. Let's watch our values here or silhouettes there. But for the most part, this guy hasn't needed a ton of direction. He's pretty solid. I like working too. He's super nice.
Okay, who would win in a fist fight, Will Terry or Lee White?
Oh boy,
you're gonna get yourself in trouble either way.
Fist fight. Okay, so
Lee's like crazy fit.
Lee is super fit, but Will is definitely twice his size and definitely stronger.
There you go.
So I think it would all depend on if Will could land a punch. Because if he could land a punch,
Lee's gonna go flying.
Lee's done for.
Okay, wait. Answer this. Somebody wants to know, does your colorist outsource flatting? So your colorist is actually doing the flatting, right?
Yeah, he just told me that he's going to be flatting this week, these pages, while he's waiting for stuff to come to him. He's working on 2 different or 3 different projects, and he says, while I'm kind of in the break between the other project, I'm gonna flat your comic, and then hopefully we'll have colors for this next week sometime.
I like this comment. Somebody says, I think in a digital world, the value of actual books and art is climbing. I love when I get to buy real books and art.
Well, cool. I
agree.
I recently, like for several years, I didn't buy paper comics. I just bought digital comics. and now I've been going to the comic shop more, and it gets me out of the house. I don't leave the house very often, so that's been nice.
Don't let him out.
But just to have those tangible like artifacts in my hand has been really nice. And then of course, I love collecting books anyway. If you've seen any one of my YouTube videos, you can see that bookshelf behind me.
He's had to put give himself a rule every once in a while: no books until, and then give himself some sort of.
This 2022 is no new books year, and so far I haven't bought any books. I have been gifted some books, but I haven't bought any books.
Gifted new books from your friend Amazon?
Someone asked what flatting is. Oh, sorry. I just glanced up for a second. Flatting is...
Several people have asked what flatting is.
So before you add light and shadow and all the different colors, you have either your colorist or someone else will go in and just put in the flat color for everything. So
like
Skull
crayons.
Chaser's red, it's just coloring it in, flat colors. And then once they're all flatted, then you go in and add light, add shadow, add effects, add all that other stuff.
How cool would it be to see a live action Rocket Raccoon on Disney Plus based on the comics that you and Scotty Young made? How fun would that be?
That would be. That'd be amazing. I'd rather a Missile Mouse, though, honestly. What's funny is I came up with Missile Mouse before I ever knew what Rocket Raccoon was. I created Missile Mouse when I was 14 years old in junior high school. And he was more inspired by Rescue Rangers and Spaceman Spiff. I was a huge fan of Spaceman Spiff, which is like a Calvin Hobbes thing. And I was like, I need to come up with a character that has alliteration. So what's a good... and he's a mouse, so what would be a good thing missile. We'll call him Missile Mouse. And so that's where he came from. And then fast forward 20 years later or more, I was able to do a Missile Mouse graphic novel series with Scholastic.
You did the first one 13 years ago and the second one 12 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're just about done. I kind of feel like Skull Chaser needs a little shadow underneath him. So we might...
Jake did the first Missile Mouse comic book when I was pregnant with our fourth. And then he made that second one basically with Calvin, that child, perched on his lap in our basement. Remember, the basement used to flood and you'd have to lift up your feet because there'd be 2 inches of water on the floor. Late at night, he'd go to work during the day and come home, draw, color. That was exhausting.
It was. Let's not do that again.
Do you read manga?
Some. What would be the most recent one I've read? I actually read this, which was kind of cool. It's Star Wars Rebels manga, and it's like a Star Wars version of it. So, yeah, it depends on it.
Who would win in a fight, Missile Mouse or Rocket?
Missile Mouse, obviously.
Does borrowing one of your books from the library, if it's in the library, does that still support you? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I had a pen in my mouth. Yeah, you can go to the library because...
You're off the camera.
Oh, because the librarians, they pay close attention to what's getting checked out, and those books get worn out, and they talk to other librarians, and if they're like, yeah, Missile Mouse keeps getting checked out of our library, then another librarian will be like, oh, I gotta get that book too for my kids.
Which one of your Missile Mice is out of print?
The second one, it's Rescue on Tankium 3. I actually got the rights back for it, so I was going to release it digitally.
What are you drawing right now?
This is a shadow for the
Oh.
cloud. I don't know if it's working, but
I
it looks
think
kind of cool. Okay, we're going to call it good. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And thanks for all the questions. This was nice. We'll see you guys next time we do this.
Bye.
Bye.